Long ball number 3 here on Friday, bringing it back as we do each and every Friday. Morning Kickaroud's Fab 4 picks of the weekend, the top 4 games to carve out some time and attention to this weekend on the North American continent. Pick 4 always comes from the chat, so get your games in now, and
Tell us
you
your
will
game.
get the 4th pick in the Fab 4. So get them in there. As we dispense ours, I'll go to you first, radio expert Jason Davis. What do you got for Fab 4?
Yeah, I'm going down the lower leagues a little bit. It's a Jagermeister Cup weekend. Rob, do you know what the Jagermeister Cup is? Are you aware?
I am aware of it this year. The Jagermeister Cup is essentially kind of like a league's cup within USL, right?
That is exactly what it's like a league cup. It's like the EFL Cup in England, only with the professional ranks that exist in the current USL. I was thinking if there was a Red Bull team in the Jagermeister Cup, that would be incredible. Just pointing that out. We do have what is not a derby match. I don't want to call it a derby. I think that would be stretching it. But geographically, we're talking about how big the Midwest is. Let's look down in the southeastern part of our country. We got Charleston, South Carolina, down there on the Atlantic Ocean. Well known for its history, for its culinary delights, things like that. Charleston, South Carolina, and they've got a good soccer team led by our guy Ben Pyramid in the USL Championship, and I think they're doing pretty good in the USL Championship right now. Is Charleston Battery second place in the Eastern Conference, 3 points back of Louisville City. They just come off a win over Phoenix Rising, and they will play in the Jagermeister Cup tomorrow night. South Georgia Tormenta of Statesboro, Georgia. Now, very much in the theme of what we're going to be talking about with Michael Hitchcock and what we're asking our members to help us with, what cities, what towns could be great places for soccer teams. Statesboro, Georgia. Rob, do you know where Statesboro, Georgia is? Did you know?
I know that it's in Georgia. United States version of Georgia, too.
That's right.
I'll sharpen that up.
So it seems it's about 3 hours, a little bit less than 3 hours drive from Charleston. So, and South Georgia Tormenta plays in League One of USL, and Charleston plays in the championship. And that's why this competition is cool, right? It's sort of like an open cup, but just between the USL teams. And we get I'm imagining some Charleston fans will be making the drive to Statesboro, is my point. Yeah. So it could be a really cool atmosphere in Statesboro, Georgia for this game. South Georgia's not having a great season in League One. They've been very good in the past. They're not having a great season right now. Again, Charleston is good. I would expect the Battery to be heavy favorites, but this is what we want. Like, I want this cross-pollination. I want a town like Statesboro, which has a surprise success story in American soccer for people who don't know where Statesboro is or how big Statesboro is. I want this stuff. Charleston's got that history that goes back to the 90s. Like, this is just cool to me, so I'm picking that game.
All right, so it's on me, a Fab 4 pick number 2. I'm on the hot seat here. In my heart of hearts, of course, Oakland County FC hosting AFC Ann Arbor is where I'll be carving out my time. But for the sake of the bit, for the sake of the show, I am going with what could turn out to be the best atmosphere of the Club World Cup. 2 Brazilian sides clash in Philadelphia, of all places. Palmeiras and Botafogo, high noon on Saturday in Philadelphia. The South American fans have really been the spark of a large part of the spark for the Club World Cup in this form in this country, and combining 2 of the biggest Brazilian teams in one location should be absolutely outstanding.
I mean, I almost wish I was going to be in Philadelphia tomorrow, because
right?
I imagine that is going to be a party. Do they get to like bust out the barbecues and grill? Because Brazilians and the meat, South Americans love their meat. I imagine like that's going to be I hope there's like a whole street fair thing happening. I don't know. They've got big parking lots because they're in Philadelphia. All those stadiums are right next to it. You ever been to Philadelphia and seen that sort of stadium complex thing that they got with the hockey basketball venue and the baseball stadium? Like, all of it's right there. It's going to be incredible. I think that's a great pick. These are the teams that care most about this tournament. At least it feels that way, Rob. I mean, not that the European teams don't want to win it, but for them, this is a little bit more of a distraction than it might be for the Brazilian teams, who are
Main
really,
eventing this.
really, really engaged in this thing. So that's a great pick.
Yeah, just for context, currently in the Brazilian league, Palmeiras is in fourth and Botafogo in eighth. And to get to this stage, Botafogo beat Sounders, beat PSG, and then fell to Atletico Madrid in that third game, which ultimately didn't hurt them. And then Palmeiras 0-0 with Porto, beat Al Ali 2-0, and then tied with Inter Miami, which we've highlighted before, which was an exciting game.
I do wonder about the numbers for that game that you picked, because last night, Real Madrid in Philadelphia, I think they got 69,000 plus for that Real Madrid game in the Club World Cup last night. I think that's like the sixth highest attendance for a soccer match in Philadelphia. So, we talked about this tournament and some of the problems with it, Rob, and the fact that some of these games have happened in venues that do not fit the draw that the teams present. But I think it's pretty clear that if you put big teams in these NFL buildings, you will get people to show up. So and I don't know, Palmeiras and Botafogo, again, the combination, like is this like exponential explosion of fandom because they're two Brazilian teams, or are we going to see like 30,000? I honestly don't know.
We shall see tomorrow at noon in Philadelphia. So Fab Four pick number 3 will welcome in producer Jenny to throw her pick in the mix. What is the third in today's Fab Four, Jenny?
Third game in today's Fab Four is going to be, we're going to go to MLS for this one. The closer for the weekend, it's going to be LAFC against the Vancouver Whitecaps. That's Sunday at 9:30, and I continue to be fascinated by this Vancouver Whitecaps team. Incredibly good until you get to an international window when they lose some of their best players, namely like you got Brian Wright and Sebastian Berhalter that are no longer with the team right now because they're with the U.S. national team. And they've lost their last 2 games. I don't know if any of you guys saw that game against San Diego on Wednesday night, but they looked hapless offensively, and their defense even didn't look great. And San Diego just kind of kicked them. We talked about a little bit with Ilowski's 4 goals. He had a very good game for San Diego. And LAFC, are they going to be a little exhausted coming off the Club World Cup? They've had quite the jaunt across the country over the past week and a half or so. And so it's going to be a battle of teams that are kind of weakened because of non-MLS commitments. I'm curious to see what happens on Sunday night in LAFC.
Adding a little bit of spice to that is that BBC News article you sent over this morning, Jason.
Yeah, the story is, so we know that Steve Cherundolo intends to leave LAFC, and he said at the end of the season. But I think that people who know Steve and people who understand his background imagine it's very possible that Steve Cherundolo exits before the end of the season if something opens up for him back in Germany, where he spent his entire playing career and where his family is from. His wife and his kids identify as German, and they've been in the U.S. now as he's followed this coaching path. And the story is that LAFC are kicking the tires on Ange Postecoglou, which, you can argue about whether that's a big step down for Ange and whether he deserves something maybe somewhere else in England or in Europe after what happened at Tottenham. But I'd pay good money to see Ange Postecoglou coach in Major League Soccer, especially with the way he plays. This could be fascinating.
That would be the little bit of spice that would really make them exciting. It seemed like Cherundolo kind of put flat tires on a fast car compared to the iteration of Bob Bradley. I would love to see LAFC return to that kind of swashbuckling, exciting style that we saw when they were breaking the MLS regular season record for wins and whatnot. So that would be exciting if that happened. And just, I think you could get away with it with the way Major League Soccer plays defense as well. I think he wouldn't quite get punished quite as much as he was this year in the Premier League. Switching over to the MK Ultras pick for the 4th game of the weekend. Thank you, Jenny. In the chat, we got Andrew. He's throwing out Crew Philly as well. That one could be an interesting pick. PSG versus Miami or
Columbus and Philly. No, that's Columbus. That's Pamit using COL for Columbus. I think PSG Miami deserves a little bit of attention. We've had people in our comments on Morning Kickaround after we talked about the Club World Cup say, If I was rich, I can't remember whose comment this was. My apologies. If I was rich, I would drop $1,000 on Miami beating PSG. And I am shocked by that. I am shocked. I look, is it possible it's more competitive than a lot of people imagine? Sure. I think it's possible. It's also possible that PSG wins that game 5-6-0. I think that's possible too, Rob. I think, this game has, there are some games where like the range of possibilities is very small and you kind of go in knowing like, oh, this is what kind of game we're going to get. I think the range of possibilities in this game is very wide and it's going to be odd. Now, it's also worth pointing out, we talked about the game in Philadelphia. That's noon. We're kicking off at noon, Rob. What are we doing in the summertime kicking off at noon? I don't understand why we're doing that. And that's going to be a factor here for Palmeiras and Botafogo in that one in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do Brazilian games, like Brazilian league games, do they usually play in the evenings? Or are they used to like the sweltering heat when they play? They're certainly going to be tested on Saturday. So the Fab Four of the weekend, the last weekend in June 2025, LAFC versus Vancouver, Palmeiras versus Botafogo, South Georgia versus Charleston, and PSG versus Miami. Thank you for everyone in the chat getting into the mix there. Everyone enjoy your soccer wherever you take it in. If you haven't become a subscriber and you're watching this now, do so now. Just hit the button. Doesn't cost you a darn thing, and it helps this show exponentially. If you want to take your support a step further, $3.99 a month gets you an MK Ultra membership, access to the Discord, early access to videos, on-screen commenting prioritized for you, and much, much more. So hit that membership button if you're able to. You can find us on social media, write us an email, and support in any which way you can. Word of mouth, excellent, all those things.